Hello, and welcome to a podcast about creating experimental art in trauma-informed and sustainable ways that support artists, our communities, and the organization as a whole. I'm your host, Molly, and you're listening to Any Other Anythings. In this season, we are focused on the latest project being produced by Graybox Collective. It is titled Positive Ruminations. So this is an event that will feature 4 new works, and each episode of this season of Any Other Anythings will feature conversations from the creative teams developing the new work. And we are really focusing on capturing the process and sharing out the things we find interesting along the way. Hope that you enjoy the season of Any Other Anythings. All right, hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Any Other Anythings. I'm Molly, and just to introduce this next episode, this is a conversation with Lauren and Romeo about the piece Empty. Again, Empty is focusing on that empathy or compassion fatigue that we feel by being constantly inundated by all the stuff and things. And I need to apologize for this episode because the recording got cut. We thought it was still recording because the numbers were going, but it wasn't. So yeah, unfortunately, it got cut short. I also don't totally remember what we talked about after. I'm sure it was like the best things we said and like all the gems were right there. I do remember both Lauren and Romeo told you all to stay hydrated. So stay hydrated and enjoy this episode where Romeo and Lauren, who are working on Empty, talk about some new additions to the piece and really focusing on props. Enjoy. So we are back with another episode of Any Other Anythings, and this is with the Empty duo, Romeo and Lauren. And we just went through the most recent run of this whole thing. So do y'all want to like recap what we've done today and recap and like some highlights maybe?
Yeah. So today we started out with a from the ground up warm up, like a little somatic movement to get the brains going. And then that morphed into creating movement based on the letters of the show title and smushing that together in a way that played off of each other's work. And then we inserted that chunk into the show along with like half a dozen to a dozen other little moments and like prop like ideas that we had factored in from our feedback from the previous version.
Yeah, kind of we went over like what the cup and the string and like some of our props like mean, all the movement that's like packed into it. We played with like newspaper again and what that could all look like, and kind of played with like the dynamics of our piece of, okay, where's the build up and how do we build it up and what kind of brings it back down, and explored the ending of this thing. So yeah.
Okay, so what has happened since we had a rehearsal, then we had our work in progress showing, and now we've had this rehearsal. So what are some of like the ribbon on the cups is a new addition, and what are some of the other things from that feedback that you carried into the space today that feels important for the audience to hear about?
I shared earlier, a big piece that stuck out with me was like, as the bad news is being read to me, like trying to find it in all the newspaper. I really enjoyed that a lot, and like kind of bridging the story between the newspaper and like the people in it. Mm-hmm. That was very good.
Yeah, echoing that, we added in this moment like kind of the build up that like our previous work in progress, what audience was talking about, like, okay, what is it for that to like build up and keep like giving into that energy. And we have this like really lovely inversion that Romeo does to kind of like accentuate that like moment, which is really satisfying because like the strength, wow, amazing. Also, like we did add this idea of like the cups having a thread. I used ribbon because that's what I had at my house, free 99. Thank you, past me, girl math. Because one audience member was like, okay, well, what about like the string on the telephone cups? And like, are you connected to it? Is it connected to you? So we played around with that today just to see if it would work. And I think we found like some keeper moments as a result of that, of like dragging the cup along the ground for like that little bit of like just like ambient noise happening towards the end, but also like these moments where we have to explore and problem solve within our own choreography based on like how we roll into this thing that's like connected to either our clothes or ourselves.
So much for taking the time and energy to check out another episode of Any Other Anythings. Greatly appreciate your presence. Be sure to check out the show notes for links to find out more about this podcast, the speakers, and Graybox Collective. You can also go to grayboxcollective.com/podcast for a full transcript of this episode. Thank you again for listening. Thank you again for being here. Greatly appreciate it. Take care of yourselves and each other.